I'm Amber and I'm 28 years old. 5 years ago, something terrible happened at my mom and dad's funeral. My older sister Monica threw a bank card at me. She called it charity money for the adopted kid. Then she kicked me out of the only home I ever knew. I felt so embarrassed and hurt. I took that card and shoved it in a drawer. I never touched it. Not even once. For 5 whole years I struggled to survive. I worked 2 different jobs. I ate cheap noodles for dinner most nights. My apartment was always freezing cold in winter. Meanwhile, Monica lived in our parents' house. She posted pictures from fancy vacations in Europe. She looked so happy. Then last week I finally decided to go to the bank. I wanted to cancel that card forever. Just throw it away and move on. The bank lady looked at her computer screen. Then she looked at me. Then she said one sentence. That sentence made my whole body go numb. Let me take you back 5 years. To the day of my parents' funeral. The funeral home smelled like flowers and cleaning spray. I stood near the 2 coffins. My hands were squeezed together so tight they hurt. Mom and Dad were gone. A drunk driver ran a red light 3 days before. Just like that, they were gone forever. I was adopted when I was a baby. Richard and Margaret chose me. They raised me and loved me for 23 years. They never ever made me feel different. They never made me feel less than their real daughter. But Monica did. My sister is 6 years older than me. She was the golden child. Perfect grades, perfect hair, perfect everything. Ever since I can remember, she would whisper mean things when Mom and Dad weren't looking. She'd say, "You're not really one of us, you know." She'd say, "They just felt sorry for you." I learned to ignore it. I told myself she didn't mean it. Today I learned I was so wrong. Amber. Monica's voice cut through my sadness. She was standing by the front row of chairs. Her black dress looked expensive and perfect. Her makeup looked flawless even though this was a funeral. "You're sitting back there." She pointed to the 3rd row. But I thought, front row is for immediate family. Her smile was cold. "You understand, right?" I felt everyone staring at me. Aunt Sarah, my mom's younger sister, frowned. She started walking toward us. "Monica, what are you doing?" "It's fine, Aunt Sarah." Monica's voice sounded sweet but felt like poison. I arranged the seating based on what the funeral director suggested. Immediate family sits first. Then extended relatives. She looked at me when she said, "Extended." Aunt Sarah opened her mouth to argue. But her husband pulled her arm. She gave me a sorry look and sat down. I walked to the 3rd row all alone. The service started. I cried quietly. Strangers patted my shoulder. They called me the poor adopted girl. I'd never felt more alone in my whole life. 3 days after the funeral, my phone rang. "Miss Thompson, this is Harold Miller's office calling. We're confirming your attendance at the will reading tomorrow at 10 in the morning." Before I could answer, Monica appeared in the hallway. She'd insisted I stay at the house until we sorted things out. Now I understand why. "Who's that?" she asked. "The lawyer's office. About the will reading." Monica took the phone right out of my hand. "Hello, this is Monica Thompson Garcia. My sister won't be coming." She paused. "Because only legal beneficiaries need to be there." "Thank you." She hung up. "Monica, I have every right to." "Amber." Her voice sounded patient, like she was talking to a little kid. "The lawyer said only people named in the will need to attend. You're not named. Mom and Dad left everything to me." My throat got tight. "How do you know that?" "Because I'm their daughter." She said it so simply. So final. Their real daughter. I wanted to argue. I wanted to call the lawyer myself. But Monica was already walking away. And I was too broken to fight. The next evening, she came home smiling. A smile I'd never seen before. Satisfied. Victorious. "The house is mine," she announced. "All the investment accounts, the savings, everything. They left it all to me." I gripped the kitchen counter. "And what about me?" "They left you nothing." Monica reached into her purse. She pulled out a plain white envelope. Inside was a single bank card. She tossed it on the counter like it was garbage. "This had your name on it. Probably an old account they forgot about. The lawyer said it's most likely empty." She shrugged. "Consider it their last gift to you. Like a participation trophy." I picked up the card with shaking hands. The next morning, Monica stood in my bedroom doorway. "You have 24 hours to move out." I looked up from the box I was packing. What? This is my house now, Amber. Legally, I don't have to let you stay here. Monica, please. I hated how my voice cracked. Just give me 1 week. I need to find an apartment. Figure things out. 24 hours. She checked her watch. Starting right now. I spent the next hour calling everyone I could think of. Aunts, uncles, cousins. Anyone who might let me stay, even temporarily. The responses were all the same. Oh, sweetie, we'd love to help, but we don't want to get involved in family fights. Monica said you were being difficult about the inheritance. Maybe you should just accept what your parents decided. I heard you demanded half the house even though you're just the adopted one. That's not very grateful, is it? By the 5th call, I understood. Monica had been busy. She'd already told everyone her version of the story, and they all believed her. Aunt Sarah was my last hope. Sweetheart, she said softly. She always called me that. I want to help you. I really do. But your uncle says we can't get involved. We're having our own money troubles right now. I understand, Aunt Sarah. Amber, listen to me. Her voice got quieter. Something isn't right about all this. Your mother would never. She stopped. Just don't throw anything away, okay? Keep everything they gave you. I didn't understand what she meant, but I nodded anyway. I will. That night, I put the bank card in my purse. Not because I thought it was worth anything, but because it was the last thing with my name on it that my parents touched. Exactly 24 hours later, Monica arrived with a locksmith. I was still packing when she walked into my room. She had 2 large garbage bags. Time's up. I just need another hour. You've had your time. She started grabbing things from my dresser. Photos, jewelry, books. She shoved them all into the bags. Whatever isn't out in 10 minutes goes to charity. I scrambled to save what I could. My baby photos. Mom's handwritten recipe cards. A pressed flower from Dad's garden. Monica watched me with her arms crossed. You know, she said, you should be thanking me. 23 years of free housing, free food, free education. Most adopted kids don't get half of what you got. I didn't respond. I couldn't. The locksmith finished changing the locks. He looked uncomfortable. He avoided my eyes as I dragged my suitcase past him. Outside, I saw Mrs. Chun from next door watching through her window. Mr. Davis was pretending to water his lawn. A teenager across the street had his phone out, recording everything. Monica followed me onto the porch. Just so we're clear, she said loudly, clearly performing for the neighbors. I don't have any obligation to support someone who isn't family. Mom and Dad are gone. There's no reason for us to pretend anymore. I turned to look at her one last time. My sister. The girl who used to push me off swings and blame me for broken vases. The woman who waited until our parents were buried to show her true face. Goodbye, Monica. She didn't respond. I walked down the driveway. One suitcase in one hand. A trash bag in the other. 23 years of my life reduced to what I could carry. The bank card was still in my purse. I don't know why, but I couldn't bring myself to throw it away. 6 months later, I lived in a tiny studio apartment. It was in a part of town I never knew existed. The walls were so thin I could hear my neighbor's TV. The heater worked maybe half the time. But it was mine. I paid for it myself. Every morning at 5, I clocked in at the coffee shop. I worked the register, made lattes, cleaned the espresso machine when it broke. 3 in the afternoon I clocked out. Then I walked 4 blocks to a restaurant. I washed dishes there until midnight. I ate employee meals. I bought groceries from the discount bin. I hadn't bought new clothes since I left that house. Some nights when the exhaustion got too heavy, I sat on my mattress and cried. I missed my parents. I missed the smell of Mom's cooking. I missed the sound of Dad humming while he read the newspaper. I missed being someone's daughter. I didn't miss Monica. The bank card sat in my nightstand drawer, still in its envelope. I thought about checking it a dozen times, walking into a bank, inserting it into an ATM, seeing what was there. But every time I reached for it, I heard Monica's voice. Probably empty. A participation trophy. And I couldn't do it. Because if she was right, if our parents really left me nothing, then maybe she was right about everything else too. Maybe I was never really their daughter. Maybe I was just a charity case they felt obligated to keep. So the card stayed in the drawer. and I kept working. It was easier to be exhausted than to face the truth. My coworker Emma asked me sometimes why I never talked about my family. I don't have one, I told her. She didn't push. She just made sure I ate lunch. Small kindnesses. They were all I had now. 1 year after the funeral, I was on my break, scrolling through social media on my cracked phone. That's when I saw it. A post from a cousin I barely remembered. So happy to celebrate Monica's gorgeous home renovation. The Thompson house has never looked better. I tapped the photo. My childhood home. Except now it looked like something from a magazine. New windows. New landscaping. Fresh paint and colors my mother would have loved. I scrolled through the comments. Monica deserves this, she's been through so much. Your parents would be so proud of what you've done with their house. Living your best life, girl. I kept scrolling. More photos. Monica and her husband Derek posing in front of a new expensive car. Monica on a beach in Italy. Derek at a casino in Las Vegas. Poker chips stacked in front of him like towers. Then I saw a comment that made my stomach drop. Aunt Sarah wrote, "I wish Amber could have been here today." Underneath it, "This comment has been deleted." Monica deleted it. Of course she did. I closed the app and stared at the breakroom wall. Outside, the espresso machine hissed. Customers laughed. The world kept spinning like nothing was wrong. On my nightstand at home there was a stack of bills. Electric, rent, a medical bill from when I got the flu and couldn't afford to miss work. I thought about the house I grew up in. The room that used to be mine. The kitchen where my mom taught me to bake. Monica took it all. And everyone believed she deserved it. I shoved my phone in my pocket and went back to work. There was nothing else I could do. 3.5 years after the funeral, things were better. Not good, but better. I was a shift supervisor at the coffee shop now. I quit the dishwashing job. I had health insurance for the first time in years. My apartment was still small, but I'd made it mine. Thrift store curtains. A plant Emma gave me that somehow hadn't died. A photo of my parents on the wall. The only one Monica didn't manage to grab. I'd learned to build a life without a family. I'd learned that survival is its own kind of victory. The bank card was still in my drawer. Sometimes I forgot it was there for weeks at a time. Other times I caught myself staring at the drawer at 2 in the morning, wondering. I never opened it. "Thanksgiving's coming up," Emma said one morning as we prepped for the rush. "What are your plans?" "Working," I said. "Someone has to cover the holiday shift." She looked at me with that soft, careful expression she gets sometimes. "You really don't have anyone?" I thought about Aunt Sarah's voice on the phone 3 years ago. Thought about the deleted comment. Thought about all the relatives who believed Monica's lies without ever asking for my side. "I have you," I said. "And free coffee." "That's plenty." Emma bumped her shoulder against mine. "Well, I'm making a turkey this year. You're coming over after your shift." I smiled. It still felt unfamiliar on my face. But it was real. Okay. That night I passed by the drawer. Thought about the card again. Maybe I should just throw it away. Finally let go of the past. But something stopped me. Aunt Sarah's voice. "Don't throw anything away." I left the card where it was. I wasn't ready. Not yet. For years after the funeral, I came home from work. There was an envelope in my mailbox. Thick, cream-colored, expensive. The return address said, "Law Offices of Harold Miller." I almost threw it away. I thought it was junk mail. Or worse, some legal notice about debts I didn't know I had. But something made me open it. "Dear Miss Amber Thompson, this matter concerns the estate of Richard and Margaret Thompson. It is urgent that you contact our office immediately. There are time-sensitive issues regarding assets that were designated specifically for you. I have attempted to reach you through multiple channels over the past 4 years without success. Please call at your earliest convenience. Regards, Harold Miller, attorney at law." I read it 3 times. Assets designated for me. That can't be right. Monica said I wasn't in the will. Monica said everything went to her. I crumpled the letter and threw it in the trash. It's a scam. It has to be. 2 weeks later I got a voicemail. "Miss Thompson, this is Harold Miller. I was your father's attorney and close friend for over 30 years. I've been trying to locate you since the funeral. Your sister told me you'd moved out of the country and wanted no contact with the family. But I never believed her." A pause. His voice got softer. Your parents loved you, Miss Thompson. More than you know. They made arrangements. Special arrangements to protect you. Please call me back. I saved the voicemail. I didn't call. Because if it's real, it means Monica lied about everything. And if it's a lie, it means I'm still hoping for something that will never come. Either way, I wasn't ready to know. The card stayed in the drawer. The voicemail stayed on my phone. I went back to work. 5 years after the funeral. Present day. I was cleaning the espresso machine when Emma ran into the back room. She was breathless. Amber, you need to see this. She shoved her phone at me. It was a real estate website, showing properties scheduled for foreclosure auction. One of them was my childhood home. Wait, isn't that your old neighborhood? Emma asked. You mentioned growing up near Maple Street. I stared at the screen. The house looked different now. Run down. Paint peeling. Lawn overgrown. Nothing like the magazine perfect photos Monica used to post. How did you find this? My boyfriend's in real estate. He was talking about a property in your area. Mentioned the owner's drowning in debt. Gambling husband. Apparently lost everything. She paused. The name's Thompson. I remembered you mentioning that was your family name. Monica Thompson Garcia. I scrolled through the listing. Foreclosure due to mortgage default. Outstanding debt. $400,000. Auction date, 2 weeks from now. My mind spun. Monica inherited everything. The house, the savings, the investments. How could she possibly have lost it all in 5 years? Then I remembered. Derek at the casino in Vegas. The chips stacked like towers. Of course. I handed the phone back to Emma. Thanks for showing me. Are you okay? You look pale. I'm fine, I lied. That night I stood in front of my nightstand for a long time. The lawyer's letter. The voicemail. The bank card. The house where my parents raised me. Where my mother taught me to cook. Where my father read me bedtime stories. It was about to be sold to strangers. Unless I opened the drawer. The card was still there. Untouched for 5 years. Maybe it was time to finally find out what it was worth. The next morning, I walked into First National Bank. For the first time in 5 years. My hands were sweating. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. I told myself I was just going to cancel the card. Close whatever account was attached to it. Cut the last tie to a family that threw me away. That's all. A woman at the service desk waved me over. Her name tag said, Linda Chun. How can I help you today? I placed the card on the counter. It looked so ordinary. Plain white plastic with a chip and a number. I'd like to cancel this card, please. Linda picked it up. Examined it. Then typed the number into her computer. She frowned. Typed something else. Frowned deeper. Ma'am, is something wrong? She didn't answer. Her eyes were fixed on the screen, moving back and forth like she was reading something she couldn't quite believe. Could I see your ID, please? I handed over my driver's license. She studied it, then looked at me, then looked at the screen again. You're Amber Thompson? Yes. Amber Margaret Thompson, born March 15, 1998? Yes. My voice wavered. Is there a problem? Linda stood up abruptly. I need to get my manager. Please wait here. Wait, what's going on? Is the account in some kind of trouble? She paused. Her expression unreadable. Miss Thompson, this card. It's not a regular debit card. Then what is it? She opened her mouth, then closed it. Shook her head. My manager will explain. Just please don't go anywhere. She hurried toward the back offices, leaving me standing at the counter, my heart in my throat. 1,000 questions I was afraid to answer. What did my parents leave me? Linda returned with a middle-aged man in a gray suit. He introduced himself as the branch manager, but I didn't hear his name. I didn't hear anything except the blood rushing in my ears. Linda sat back down across from me. Her hands were trembling slightly. Miss Thompson, she said carefully. I can't cancel this card. Why not? Because it's not a debit card. It's an activation key. Activation key for what? Linda glanced at her manager. He nodded. 5 years ago, your parents, Richard and Margaret Thompson, established a trust fund with our institution. A private trust. Completely separate from their regular estate. It was designed to remain dormant until you personally presented this card at one of our branches. I gripped the edge of the counter. A trust fund? Yes, ma'am. How much? Linda took a breath. $5 million. The world tilted. I heard myself say, what? But the voice sounded far away, like it belonged to someone else. $5 million, Linda repeated gently, plus 5 years of accumulated interest. The total current value is approximately $5.4 million. That's not possible. My sister said. Your sister was never informed about this trust. It was set up in complete secrecy. Your parents were very specific about that. Linda slid a sealed envelope across the counter. They also left this for you, to be delivered only when you activated the trust. The envelope was yellowed with age. My mother's handwriting on the front. For our daughter Amber. We love you. I couldn't breathe. My parents didn't abandon me. They didn't forget me. They didn't love Monica more. They knew. They knew exactly what Monica would do. And they protected me anyway. I started to cry right there in the bank. And I didn't care who saw. Linda handed me a box of tissues. She didn't say a word. I took my time. 5 years of grief. 5 years of doubt. 5 years of wondering if I was ever truly loved. It all came pouring out in that sterile bank office. When I finally stopped shaking, I opened the envelope. Inside was a handwritten letter. 3 pages long. My mother's elegant handwriting. My father's scratchy signature at the bottom. I read it slowly. My darling Amber, if you're reading this, then what we feared has come true. We are gone. And Monica has shown her true colors. We know our eldest daughter, sweetheart. We've watched her grow. And we've seen the darkness in her that she hides so well from others. We tried to help her. We tried to teach her kindness, generosity, love. But some lessons cannot be forced. We knew that when we died, Monica would try to take everything. She would tell you that you weren't really our daughter. She would make you feel like you didn't belong. We couldn't stop her from inheriting the house. The law required it. But we could protect you in secret. This money isn't charity, Amber. It's not pity. It's not guilt. It's love. You are our daughter. Not because of blood, but because we chose you. Because you grew in our hearts the way other children grow in their mother's wombs. Because watching you become the woman you are has been the greatest joy of our lives. Don't let Monica make you forget that. Don't let anyone make you forget that. We love you, baby girl. We always have. We always will. Forever yours, Mom and Dad. I pressed the letter to my chest and cried again. But this time the tears weren't grief. They were gratitude. That evening I called Harold Miller. He picked up on the second ring, like he'd been waiting by the phone for 5 years. Miss Thompson. His voice was warm, relieved. Thank God. You knew about the trust? I helped your father set it up. He came to me 6 months before the accident. Said he needed to protect you from Monica. He knew what she was capable of. I sank onto my bed. Why didn't you tell me sooner? I tried. Frustration crept into his voice. Right after the funeral, I called the house. Monica answered. She said you'd moved out of the country. That you wanted nothing to do with the family or the estate. She said if I contacted you again, she'd file a harassment complaint. And you believed her? No. That's why I kept trying. But every address I found for you turned out to be wrong. Every phone number was disconnected. It was like you'd vanished. I thought about those first months after being kicked out. Moving from temporary housing to temporary housing. Changing phones because I couldn't afford the bills. Never updating my address with anyone because I had no one to update. Monica didn't just kick me out. She erased me. There's something else you should know, Harold said. The trust was designed so that only you could activate it. By presenting that card in person. Your parents knew Monica might find out about it somehow. Might try to access it herself. This way it was impossible. They thought of everything. They loved you, Amber. Everything they did to protect you. I was quiet for a long moment. Then I told him about the foreclosure auction. About my childhood home about to be sold to strangers. I want to buy it back, I said. Harold didn't hesitate. I'll make the arrangements. 2 days before the auction, Harold and I met at his office. He slid a folder across his desk. The property details. Minimum bid is set at $350,000, but given the location and condition it could go higher. How high? Hard to say. Maybe 5 or 600,000 if there's serious interest. I thought about the number Linda told me at the bank. 5.4 million. I can afford that. Harold nodded slowly. You can. But Amber, I need to ask. Are you sure this is what you want? You could buy a new house anywhere. Start fresh. You don't have to face your sister. That house is where my parents raised me. It's where my mother taught me to make her chicken pot pie. It's where my father would stay up late helping me with homework even though he had work the next morning. My voice cracked. Monica doesn't get to take that from me. Not anymore. Harold studied my face for a long moment. The auction is public, he said finally. Monica will be there. She still owns the property until the gavel falls. She'll see you. Good. She won't take it well. I know. He leaned back in his chair. Your father would be proud of you. The words hit me harder than I expected. I'm not doing this for revenge, I said quietly. I'm doing it because that house is part of who I am. Part of who they made me. And I'm not going to let it disappear into a stranger's hands when I have the power to save it. Harold smiled. A small, sad, knowing smile. Then let's get you ready for an auction. For the first time in 5 years, I felt like my parents' daughter again. The auction was held in a conference room at the county courthouse. Folding chairs. Fluorescent lights. A podium at the front with a microphone and a gavel. I arrived early. Dressed in the nicest clothes I owned. A navy blazer I bought at a thrift store last year. Pressed slacks. My mother's pearl earrings that I managed to save. I chose a seat near the back. The room filled slowly. Real estate investors with clipboards. A young couple holding hands nervously. A woman in a business suit typing on her phone. And then Monica walked in. She changed. Her designer clothes looked wrinkled. Her makeup hasty. Her hair not quite as perfect as it used to be. Derek trailed behind her. Pale and gaunt. His eyes darting around the room like a cornered animal. They sat in the front row. I watched Monica's shoulders shake once. Derek put his hand on her arm. But she shrugged him off. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. The auctioneer took his place at the podium. Cleared his throat. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here today for the foreclosure auction of the property at 247 Maple Street. Monica sat up straighter. Her knuckles were white around the armrest. Opening bid is $350,000. Do I have $350? A man in the corner raised his hand. $350. Do I have $360? The young couple bid. Then the businesswoman. Then the man again. The price climbed. $370. $380. $390. $400,000. Monica was crying now. Silently. Her shoulders trembling. Derek wouldn't look at her. I waited. The bidding slowed at $420,000. The auctioneer looked around. Do I hear $430? I raised my hand. $500,000. Every head in the room turned toward me, including Monica's. For a moment, the room was completely silent. Monica's face went through a dozen emotions in the span of 3 seconds. Confusion. Recognition. Disbelief. Then something that looked almost like fear. Amber. Her voice cracked. What? How? The auctioneer cleared his throat. Ma'am, we have a bid of $500,000. Do I hear $510? A pause. The businessman in the corner shook his head. The young couple whispered to each other, then sat back. $510? The auctioneer repeated. Anyone? Silence. Then the businessman raised his hand. $510. I didn't hesitate. $600,000. A murmur ran through the room. That's well above market value for a house in that condition. People were staring at me like I'd lost my mind. The businessman shook his head. He was out. The auctioneer looked around one more time. $600,000 going once. Monica stood up. Wait. You can't let her. Ma'am, please sit down. This is a public auction. But that's my house. My parents left it to me. The auctioneer's voice turned cold. Ma'am, this property is in foreclosure. You defaulted on the mortgage. It no longer belongs to you. Derek tugged at Monica's arm. Monica, stop. You're making a scene. Going twice. I met Monica's eyes across the room. She was crying openly now. Mascara running down her cheeks. Sold to the woman in the back for $600,000. The gavel came down. The room erupted in whispers. I stood up. My legs shaking, but my voice steady. For the record, I said loud enough for everyone to hear. That house was my parents' house. And the money I'm using to buy it? That's from my parents too. The inheritance they left me. Their adopted daughter. Monica made a sound like a wounded animal. I walked toward the paperwork table. I didn't look back. I was filling out forms at the clerk's desk when Monica caught up to me. Amber, please. I kept writing. Where did you get that kind of money? I signed my name at the bottom of the page. Handed it to the clerk. Then I turned to face my sister. She looked terrible. Mascara smeared. Hair disheveled. Hands shaking. Behind her I could see Derek slipping out the door. He didn't even look back at his wife. Mom and Dad left me a trust fund, I said calmly. A private one. They knew you'd try to take everything. So they hid it. They wouldn't. They did, Monica. They knew exactly who you were. Her face crumpled. Amber, please. I don't have anywhere to go. Derek. She glanced toward the door. Realized he was gone. He left. He just left me. I know. You have to help me. I'm your sister. I let those words hang in the air for a moment. 5 years ago, you told me I wasn't family. You said I was just the adopted one. You threw me out of our parents' house 3 days after their funeral. I was wrong. I was scared and I made mistakes. You told the lawyer I'd moved out of the country so he couldn't give me my inheritance. You told our relatives I was greedy so no one would help me. You didn't just kick me out, Monica. You tried to erase me. She was sobbing now. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I looked at her. Really looked at her. And I felt the strangest thing. Nothing. Not anger. Not satisfaction. Not even pity. Just nothing. I'm sorry too, I said. Sorry it took me 5 years to learn that some people don't deserve second chances. I walked away. She didn't follow. 1 week later, I stood in front of 247 Maple Street. With a key in my hand. The house looked smaller than I remembered. The paint was peeling. The gutters were sagging. The garden my father loved was nothing but weeds. But it was still home. I unlocked the front door and stepped inside. The smell hit me first. Stale air. Dust. A faint hint of mold. Monica and Derek didn't take care of this place. Didn't love it the way my parents did. I walked through the room slowly, cataloging the damage. Water stains on the ceiling. Holes in the walls where furniture was ripped out. Beer cans in the corner of what used to be my father's study. Then I climbed the stairs to my old bedroom. Monica turned it into a storage room. Boxes everywhere. Filled with junk. Old magazines. Broken electronics. Clothes that don't fit anymore. But in the back of the closet, I found something she missed. A shoebox. Water damaged. Falling apart. Inside, photographs. Me as a baby wrapped in a yellow blanket. Me at 5 covered in flour from helping Mom bake cookies. Me at 12 on my father's shoulders at a county fair. Me at 18 in my cap and gown. Both my parents crying with pride. At the bottom of the box, a single photo of all 4 of us. Mom, Dad, Monica, and me. Taken at Thanksgiving. The year before the accident. We looked happy. Even Monica. I don't know what happened to turn her into the person she became. Maybe she was always like this and my parents just couldn't see it. Maybe grief twisted something inside her. Maybe I'll never know. I sat on the dusty floor holding the photographs. And I cried. For everything I lost. For everything I found. For everything that might have been. Aunt Sarah showed up at my door the next day. She was crying before I even opened my mouth. Amber. Oh, sweetheart. She pulled me into a hug so tight I could barely breathe. She smelled like lavender and home and everything I'd been missing. I'm so sorry, she sobbed. I'm so sorry I didn't do more. I should have. It's okay, Aunt Sarah. No, it's not. She pulled back, wiping her eyes. I knew something was wrong. Your mother would never have left you with nothing. I knew Monica was lying. But I was too scared to make waves. How did you find out about the trust? Everyone's talking about it. The whole family. She laughed bitterly. Monica told everyone for years that you ran off because you couldn't accept not being in the will. That you were bitter and selfish. And we believed her. Not everyone, I said. You left that comment on her post. She nodded. She blocked me after that. But I never stopped wondering about you. We sat in what used to be the living room. empty now except for dust and memories. And she told me everything. The family turned on Monica overnight. Once word spread about the secret trust, about the letter, about how my parents had spent their final months trying to protect me. Suddenly, everyone remembered the little things they'd noticed and ignored. Monica at the funeral making sure I sat in the back. Monica telling relatives not to contact me. Monica deleting comments, blocking numbers, spinning lies. She has no one now, Aunt Sarah said quietly. Derek filed for divorce the day after the auction. Her friends stopped returning calls. Even her in-laws want nothing to do with her. I should feel vindicated. Instead, I just felt tired. She did it to herself, I said. Yes, she did. 1 month after the auction, I was in the backyard, pulling weeds from what was left of my father's garden, when I heard the gate creak. Monica stood at the edge of the property. She looked hollow, clothes hanging off her frame, hair unwashed, dark circles under her eyes that weren't there a month ago. Amber. I stood up slowly, pulling off my gardening, Mom, Dad, Monica, and me. All of us together one last time. Aunt Sarah notices it when she walks in. Why did you keep that? She asks softly. After everything she did? I look at the photo, and my parents smiles. At Monica's hand on my shoulder. At the family we used to be. Because it reminds me that things don't have to be perfect to be real. My parents weren't perfect. Monica wasn't always cruel. And I'm not going to pretend the first 23 years of my life didn't exist just because the last 5 were hard. I turn away from the photo. But I'm also not going to let the past control my future. I choose who gets to be in my life now. I choose who deserves my love. Aunt Sarah squeezes my hand. Your mother would be so proud of you. I smile. I know. That night, the house fills with laughter and warmth and the smell of good food. For the first time in years, it feels like home. And I know, finally truly know, that I am exactly where I belong.